The next Lee and Ian podcast is approaching the station. Please step aside.
And welcome to the Lee and Ian Show. I'm Lee Navlin.
And I'm Ian Grodman.
The Lee and Ian Show is sponsored by Grodman Law and Mediation. Remember, when it comes to divorce, family first, your children first. Mediation, it's the way to go. Grodman Law and Mediation.
Thank you, Lee.
You're welcome. And if you want to check out my latest, it's LeeNavlinBooks.com. When I'm not recording a podcast, I'm writing books. That's LeeNavlinBooks.com.
I'd recommend people check it out.
Ian, thank you for that. I
You're
really
welcome.
do appreciate it. Ian, I have a joke for you.
Tell me.
Why?
Hopefully I'll get it.
Why don't sharks attack lawyers? Professional courtesy.
Oh! You didn't.
Yes, we all have our lawyer jokes, Ian.
Uh-huh.
But still, we constantly send them to Washington, D.C. to represent us. Well, how about this, Ian? How about we send an engineer instead?
Ooh, well, that's interesting. I like that, Lee. What a segue.
That's right. His name is Jeff Grayzel. He is an engineer, an inventor with 13 patents, and the very popular two-term mayor of Morris Township. And he is running for Congress to represent the 11th District. Jeff, welcome to the Lee and Ian Show.
Welcome, Jeff.
I am so happy to be here.
Jeff, what'd you think of that joke, the lawyer joke, right? That works, right? Because I know that I know that's some of the things you've done in politics over time. You constantly are reminding people that you're a thinker, you're an inventor, you're an engineer, and you're not a lawyer.
A problem solver.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
what I say in the campaign trails, if we had more engineers in Washington, we could actually get more done.
That's right. Yeah, but equation building. Right.
Ooh, don't talk about equations.
Yeah, you don't want to talk
Lawyers don't like numbers.
That's right. That's right. Facts.
Yes.
Yeah, equations are facts. Jeff, you've launched your congressional campaign. I know you've been in office for many years. I think you've been in politics for some 20 years or so. How's it going? You're running for Congress. It's a big deal. Your family, your friends.
Huge.
Yeah. What's the thought around the family? What is everyone saying to you?
Well, I started off in 2003, and in Morris Township, we have a township committee form of government, just like here in Maplewood, where the mayor rotates. And in Morris Township, we have an election every single year. It's a 3-year term. It goes 2-2-1, and then it recycles. So when I first started running, I ran 5 years in a row before I won.
And this is a little bit of a Republican.
Well, back then it was very Republican, right?
So you were really coming out of, no pun intended, left field.
Yeah. I mean, when I moved out to Morris County in 1997, little did I know I was moving into ruby red territory.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started having problems and I became a disenfranchised resident, I looked around and said, oh my God, look where I am. Yeah. And started fighting the fight.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I know that you've accomplished so much. Just reading about now, this soccer stadium, I think, was something that you were very much behind, the funding for a soccer facility.
Yeah. So let me first take you through a little bit of the history of Morris Township, if we could, and we'll build up to where
it's an interesting history.
It's a really interesting history.
Yeah.
So and actually my fourth try running for office, I won by 11 votes out of 6,500 votes in Morris Township.
Right.
The Board of Elections in Morris County, we're talking about Ruby Red. The chairman of the Board of Elections was also the chairman of the county Republican Party.
Wow.
Talk about a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And it went to a recount, and lo and behold, they found 12 votes for the Republican. And I lost by a vote.
You lost by a vote.
Yeah. So we took it to court.
Yeah.
The judge, there's a lot of interesting election law that went on, and voters got disqualified. And at the end of the day, it came down to one ballot. I was still down by one, and it was a mail-in ballot. And they opened it up, and it was straight Republican down the line until Jeff Grayzel at the bottom. And locally, he voted Democrat, and that sent it to a special election on April 1st, 2007. And the state party came in and actually helped run that election for me. I learned how to actually run a real election and turn out voters. Yeah. And we won by 499 votes on April 1st, 2007. Amazing. And I became the first ever Democrat to win, first Democrat to win since Watergate in 34 years.
That's fantastic.
How did you cross the aisle, so to speak? What's the secret to, getting them, because sometimes people just vote party line, but you obviously had to make an impression personally that they went out of their way to say, I'm not going to vote for the chosen party this time because I like what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, when I first got started, somebody gave me some advice. Somebody took me under their wing, another Democrat from another town, And they said, you really got to coach youth sports, because when you coach youth sports, you meet a ton of parents.
Yeah.
So I started coaching soccer and baseball. I had 2 young kids.
Yeah.
My first son was born in 2001. Second one was born in 2004. And I coached baseball for 7 years and soccer for 9 years. Met a lot of people.
Excellent.
And I used the message that even if one Democrat won one of those 5 seats, the Republicans would still be in control, but you would have somebody in the back room knowing what was going on and understanding if any deals were being cut. And a lot of Republicans bought into that too. They wanted that safety net in the back room. And listen, I coached a lot of Republican parents, and they bought into that, and they said, sure, let's give it a try.
Good for you.
But I did lose my reelection. I had a reelection in the year that Christie versus Corzine and Democrats across the state lost.
Right.
In my town, you can keep running, so I kept on running. I won again. I lost again, and I lost by 15 votes one year and by 23 votes another year. Again, it's a red town, but I'm coming close every single time. And then fast forward to 2018 when Mikey Sherrill was on the ballot. I was on the ballot also, and we had that blue wave. We finally won control of the council. And just like here in Maplewood, when you win control of the council, you get to appoint the mayor.
Right.
And then I became the first ever Democratic mayor in 2019.
That's amazing. Now, Ian, before we were talking with Jeff before you got it, Ian was you were saying how impressed you were just reading Jeff's background.
That's it.
And the thing that caught your eye was
Grit.
grit. That's the word he used. And
Exactly. That's the word I used. And that's, somebody who moved to a Republican town, was a Democrat, wanted to do this job, wanted to serve, just kept plugging away and plugging away. And I give you a lot of credit for doing that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and out in Morris County, we have a lot of candidates that we say are one and done, right? People step up to run for office in a red town. They do it once, and they're just exhausted, and they say, I can't do it again.
Yeah.
And you really have to keep at it. I urge people all the time, just keep at it. You win more votes every single year. And I never back down. And look where we are. Morris Township's all blue now.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, okay, it's really, you've seen the needle just right to left.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of towns,
Sure.
COVID helped to move a lot of Democrats westward.
Yeah.
They came from New York City, or
Right.
they came from Hoboken trying to move into a house. So we saw a big Democratic shift to the left. And after Morris Township turned blue, we had, Chatham Borough turned blue, then Chatham Township turned blue, Morris Plains turned blue. So we have this little wall of blueness now. Morristown was always blue, right? That was the one. Morristown and Dover were always the 2 blue towns, and Morris, the only 2 blue towns. Okay. Now we have a little bit of a blue wall.
Yeah.
We almost broke through in Mendham this year, but we're getting close.
You moved to Maplewood. You would have won on your first time.
That's
right?
You would have had to get through the Democratic primary.
But that's not necessarily true. When you first got, Ian's been in politics 20, so when you first got here, Maplewood in South Orange, there was there'd been a Republican mayor, Grassmere for.
So Grassmere, I think, had finished up probably about a year or 2 before I moved here.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yep.
So again, I got to ask you, this is what blew me away. So there's a soccer facility.
Yeah.
Tell me all about this, because I just reading, what I do is I like to peruse the internet, and people are gushing about what you accomplished with this project.
Yeah. So listen, we changed the way we did business in Morris Township, and we opened it up to the community. I say that I don't have all the ideas, so we asked community members for their ideas, where they wanted to see us invest, where they wanted to, see us put our money. And I'm also an engineer, and I love infrastructure. I love building things as an engineer. Yeah. So we built a lot of infrastructure, mostly redoing neighborhoods. So we put in new roadways, curbing, sidewalks where we could to connect neighborhoods, drainage, because we have all these big, massive rainstorms and we want to get the water off our streets, and really focus on community and connecting neighborhoods. But on the flip side of that, we always have to worry about taxes. We can't just spend money, right? They say, oh, Democrats love spending money. And listen, I think as a country, we need to invest in infrastructure very broadly, but we need to figure out where that money's going to come from. And in Morris Township, I worked very hard on focusing on economic development. So we formed an economic development advisory committee. And the point was, we're lucky in Morris Township. We had a few existing office complexes. And we wanted to ensure that the people who were there in a time where office complexes are being vacated around the state, that our tenants were happy. We wanted to make them feel part of our town and make them feel part of a community, and that they wanted to stay and they weren't going to up and go somewhere else. So we invested a lot in that. And when Honeywell decided to pull up its roots out of Morris Township, where it had been forever, and take an incentive grant from the state of New Jersey to keep their jobs in New Jersey, and they moved to Morris Plains, the old Honeywell site opened up, and we had to envision what was going to be there. And we, bargained with the developer. Of course, everybody wants housing these days, but we didn't want to make it all housing. We just didn't want to just a solid mass of housing. We wanted to keep some kind of development in there. And we thought it might be like a little town center. We weren't sure what was going to be in that commercial part of the development. But lo and behold, the developer said that the Red Bulls were looking for parcels around Morris County. And this was one of the options that they were looking at. And we leaned really hard into it. I was the mayor that year, worked really hard in the relationship with Honeywell and the Red Bulls to entice them to come to Morris Township. Helped work out the deal with Honeywell to close the deal on the land. Yeah. And fast forward, we have a beautiful facility. They invested $130 million. And Morris Township is going to be a host community for the FIFA World Cup.
That's
and
fantastic.
Brazil is going to be situated in Morris Township.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment.
It is.
And I tell you, Jeff, you go to your Facebook page, which is where I found out some information on you, and your friends and neighbors just gush about what that has done for the community. So something to really be proud of.
Yeah, it's solidified our tax base for the next 30 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good for you.
Ian, we got to get one of those in Selma here.
You mean in all of our open space?
That's all in our open space.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
Jeff, to get serious for a moment. I'm Jewish in the state of New Jersey. In this country, there's a certain sense of we feel disenfranchised right now. Anti-Semitism is to the point where there are Jews that are keeping their head down, you know, and they fear that the worst is yet to come. You've been very outspoken. You're a proud Jewish man. You probably boast that you're a Zionist, very pro-Israel. Talk a little bit about your background and talk about what, your candidacy means for not only the state of New Jersey, but the Jewish voter specifically.
Sure. And I was hoping I could sort of lay out a little bit about my candidacy, and I'll jump into that in a second.
Good. Sure.
Yeah. So I come at this from a few angles. One is as a mayor, right? Experience as a mayor, understanding how towns run from the bottom up, how our economy runs from the bottom up, how our country runs from literally its lowest levels upwards. I come at this as an engineer. We joked about it a little bit in the beginning, but listen, I solve problems for a living. That's what I do. I invent new and better ways to do things. And that's something our country needs too. And I also do a lot of community building outside of my work as mayor and engineer. I invest most of my free time in other kinds of public service. So I'm on the board of the Great Swamp Watershed Association, an environmental organization, on the board of special needs athletic program called SNAP in Morristown, focused on youth with special needs. Yeah. I'm on the board of the Museum of Makers and Innovators, trying to bring a children's museum to the state of New Jersey. All of this focused around community building. So I'm a community builder. And the other thing that I do is I do work in the Jewish community. I'm on the JCRC, the Jewish Community Relations Council of Jewish Federation. I'm on the board of directors of my synagogue in Morristown. And on top of all that, my son just graduated Columbia University, and I personally experienced all the chaos there. Yeah. So when this opportunity came along, I met this moment to run for Congress in a number of ways, to step up for my community, to step up with my skill set, and to step up as a member of the Jewish community who wanted to be a strong voice. Yeah, that's right. Who wanted to be a strong voice for our community in this great time of need. And you just said it, Lee, that we've been under a lot of pressure the last couple of years. And
Yeah. It's and I apologize. I distracted Jeff just a little bit. We had a little bit. We're working late at night, and there is
technical issue.
There's a technical issue.
But
that's
Lee
right.
handled
That's
them.
right. Yes, I handled them. So
he's a problem solver, just like Jeff.
I'm a problem creator. I think.
I think maybe that might be a better description.
I created that problem, but yeah. Getting serious, Jeff. There was recently at Temple B'nai Abraham, I believe, there was the candidates forum, and they asked about support of Israel. And while most of the candidates stood and said they with Israel, there was some that seemed to be like, and I don't want to mention names, but there's some of the candidates maybe they don't understand what's going on in the Middle East. They're running for Congress. Your thoughts on Gaza and the Middle East, Zionism? I don't think people understand what Zionism is. For instance, I thought this might be a great opportunity to discuss. It's to some people, Ian, it's like a dirty word.
Right.
They don't understand.
Yep.
If you're a proud Zionist, what are you exactly?
So I want to step back for a second because I say as an engineer, and I think I've done this a couple times when you asked the question already, I look at the big picture.
Yes.
Right? I don't think a problem is a problem in and of itself. There are so many other things that are related to solving a problem that you can't just focus on that one thing. So when we talk about Israel, we're talking about broader, I don't want to call it hate because a lot of people don't have hate for Israel, but there's a lot of division in this country right now. And the Republicans have purposely tried to divide up this country and push us with wedge issues, whether it be women's right to choose, whether it should be LGBTQ or the trans rights or the bathrooms. They try to find these wedge issues and make us choose a side. And that's what's dividing up our country. And we start yelling at each other, no matter the issue. And the same goes for Israel, right? They've tried to make Israel very divisive. But the bottom line is that Israel is one of our strongest allies, if not our most important ally in the entire world. We get way more out of the relationship with Israel than Israel gets from us in terms of the technology and the development of so many innovations that come out of Israel. And listen, most of the aid that goes into Israel is actually spent in our country, 90%, even though people don't like that it's spent on weapons. But the fact is we have weapons manufacturers here in the United States, and it is a big industry. Yeah. And 90% of that funding goes to jobs in the United States. So, the Israel issue is very complex. People try to divide us up. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that Israel is, a democracy, and we need to be supporting democracies around the world, whether it's Ukraine or Taiwan, which is about to come under attack, I believe, or Israel. We need to stand with the democracies and those that are developing, like in Iran. Right, where people are protesting in the street because they're sick and tired of the authoritarian rule. We need to help plant the seeds of democracy in Iran too. And so when I say I'm a Zionist, listen, I believe that Israel is historically the Jewish homeland. So, it goes back thousands of years, and to say that it's not, to go from the river to the sea, I think is absurd. So it's Israel's homeland, but more importantly to the United States, because first and foremost, I'm an American running for Congress.
That's right.
It is an important ally, strategic ally. It's the intelligence gathering that we get from Israel is just so important to our country.
I agree. Jeff, domestically, you've also been outspoken about what we're seeing in Minneapolis. You've said, and I've read that 1930s Germany. This is what this reminds you of, with marching with the mask, marching down the street. You're disgusted by what you're seeing in Minneapolis. You're disgusted by the events there. Talk a little bit about. I guess we're talking current events now.
Yeah. Listen, I've just said I'm a Jewish American. I have a family that escaped the Holocaust. I have an aunt who survived Auschwitz and has a number on her arm. I grew up with her my entire life looking at that number. And what I see now harkens back to what we saw in history. And we always have to remember history or else we repeat it, however that line goes. And what we're seeing now is what happened in the 1930s in Germany. And I've taken a lot of heat for my mailers that compares 1930s Germany to today, because the Jews say, how can you conflate anything with the Holocaust? And to be clear, I'm not trying to conflate it with the Holocaust. I'm trying to make comparisons to what led up to the Holocaust, and the denial that a lot of Jews in Europe had, I think, is a lot of the denial that's going on here with the steps that ICE is taking. And literally, the people that are getting shot are Americans. They're not the immigrants they're trying to throw out. They shot and killed 2 American citizens.
Right, American citizens that are protesting.
Yeah,
protesting
exercising their First Amendment rights.
Yeah,
right. And by the way, I think if you go, your family's history gives you the right to make that statement about this is what perhaps was going on once upon a time in Germany. And I know some other people will throw that out there, and some Jews might get a little insulted, or some Americans might get insulted. But I think, Jeff, coming from you, I think that's absolutely it's a smart thing. You're entitled to say it. Your aunt, your aunt's still with us?
She's still with us. Yeah, she was a child survivor of Auschwitz. Yeah,
my gosh. Well,
it's amazing.
What does she say about what she's seeing? I mean,
the people who went through it, they're all appalled.
Yeah,
of course,
they're all appalled.
Of course.
Yeah. What are your thoughts now? Malinowski has come out under attack. AIPAC, okay, has been running these dirty
ads, postcards in the mail.
Yeah, what are your
Facebook?
What are your thoughts on that? Now I know this is your opponent, obviously, and you'd like to beat him, but I would imagine that's got to bother you too. That tone.
Right. So I'm going to take that big picture approach as I do with everything.
Yes.
And look at how elections are structured in our country. Right. Citizens United upturned the way we run elections and allowed all this dark money to seep into politics. Yeah. In the recent race of Chitterelli versus Sherrill for governor, I personally saw more negative ads than positive ads. People are not running on what they stand for anymore. They're running on fear. And that's what seeped into our politics here in this country. And even if you look at all the candidates, you don't really see a differentiator between any of them. Everybody says they want to fight Trump, restore SNAP benefits, all the standard Democratic talking points. But there's not a lot of positive advertising to really let you understand the differentiators. So what happened to Malinowski? I think that's a result of the Citizens United and all the negative and dark money that's coming in. And there's an organization that's going up against him, who they're supporting on the backside. They haven't announced. So they're trying to influence the election in one way or another. I can tell you it's not for me. So I am not associated at all with that negative advertising, even though I'm the Jewish candidate in the race.
Right.
It has nothing at all to do with me because I would never be part of that.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And Ian.
And listen, to take it a step further, Lee, you and I were talking before we went on the podcast. The attack that they're making on Malinowski. Listen, I believe to speak truth, right? I don't want to dance around things. When something's wrong, it's wrong. And to call out Tom Malinowski on the ICE vote in particular, some of the other stuff I won't comment on, but in particular about the ICE vote he took back in 2019. Mikey Sherrill took that same vote, and there are a lot of other...
Every member of the New Jersey delegation did.
Yeah, took that vote. And ICE was very much different back then than it is now, right? So I think that in particular is unfair that they're taking against Tom Malinowski, and I'm worried that they're going to use it against other Democrats across the country.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Jeff, one of the things, and we spoke on the phone a few times, and you're a straight shooter. You got right to the point with me when I called up, said, why don't you come on the podcast? I'd like to, a couple questions for you. And we had a great conversation, and you decided to join us.
But I do want to get wonky with Ian later.
Yeah, but
Ian told me we were going to get wonky.
He's a policy wonky.
Lee's the one who calls me a wonk. I don't call myself a wonk.
Well, I
have a question
to your face, I call you a policy wonk.
Yeah,
behind your back.
And he calls me a legal expert as well, which is really amazing.
Legal scholar.
So I think a lot of what we're seeing, what I see happening is AIPAC is coming down so hard on Malinowski, partly because Malinowski has said that there should be conditions on funding for Israel. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, Malinowski was interviewed on Jewish Insider, and he said that aid to Israel is going to be on a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm. And certain organizations don't like that. They think that's what we call the slippery slope of starting to vote against Israel. And I also, just to be quite frank, I think there's something to his alignment with Andy Kim, because AIPAC is very disappointed in Andy Kim and the votes that he's taken against Israel. And I think there's something possibly, this is just my own theory, that alignment is hurting Malinowski in that respect too. And it's a little bit of get back at Andy Kim, perhaps. That's just my own personal theory. Nothing that I've heard from anybody else, but just my own political insight there.
Yep.
Now, Jeff, you've been an underdog before. I know when people are talking about this election, you hear Malinowski, you hear Gill, and especially in Essex County, where these guys, maybe these are the guys at the top, but we were talking on the phone, and again, you being an engineer, you were being very mathematical with me. You said, "Hey, look, I just won an election in my town, 6,500 votes or so, a lot of votes." And you say, "I could pick votes here, I could get votes there," and and you basically, I got mathematicians said, "Here's how I'm going to win this election." You still feeling pretty good about that?
Yeah,
it's a numbers game, I guess.
It's a numbers game. Yeah, we've put together the numbers. A special election is called special for a reason, right? You have to be motivated to come out in a special election.
Right.
It's not an irregular election date where other things are on the ballot and everybody's talking about going to election day and going to the voting booth. It's a very different kind of election, and you have to have a motivation to actually go vote. The people who have their mail-in ballots, they got them automatically in the mail, and I think we're going to see a higher rate of participation because they just have the ballots in front of them, and they say, well, I really should make a choice. But otherwise, you really need to be motivated to go to the polls. And the way you get motivated is by a candidate, right? And certain candidates have constituencies in this election, and I have a couple of them that are motivated voters. So I was just on the ballot in Morris Township. I won my 5th term to our town council, my 5th 3-year term. And I had 7,000 people come out and vote for me. Yeah. 7,000. And that's just in one town. Those people have known me. Yep. Oh, yeah.
They just voted for you.
They literally just voted for me. Yeah. And listen, part of my strategy is when I was on the ballot in November, I threw out a couple extra rounds of mail. We put a little bit more money into that race so that I would sort of rise above all the noise around Mikey Sherrill and get a little more recognition amongst the people coming out to vote for me in my town. And those are 7,000 votes that I hope to harness. And on top of that, anecdotally, 11 to 13% of this district is Jewish, very high for a congressional district outside of a metropolitan area. And those two constituencies alone, I think, are enough to win the race. But on top of that, people are looking for a mayor who knows how to deliver results. Other voters are looking for an engineer who can deliver for the residents of our country. So there's other little pockets of constituencies that we're trying to bring along.
And it's very smart because that's how you win elections. And especially, like you said, Jeff, in an election like this one, which is a special election, it's not expected to be a heavy turnout, although, we don't know that for sure. But also you've got 11 candidates seeking the spot, right? And if you can identify certain populations that are going to vote for you, it could lead to a victory, right? You're doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the race, with only 2 days to go, I can share our campaign strategy because there's no way to get fumbled.
No one's going to have time to copy it at this point.
Yeah, from the beginning, everybody's looking at the entire field of possible Democratic voters. They're looking at how many times they voted in a primary in the past and the possibility that they come out and participate in this election. We took a different approach. We focused on Morristown and Morris Township area where people have known me for 20 years, where I coached a lot of kids in soccer and baseball, and the broader community there. We didn't talk about the fact I ran for state senate in 2021. And I'm a big believer when opportunity knocks, you walk through the door, and there was an opportunity to run in 21 in my district, in a Republican district, and we got shellacked because 21 was the year that Murphy ran for re-election, and he lost on election night. But listen, I built name recognition with that run.
Right.
And instead of talking to all the Democrats, we focused in on the local Democrats and the Jewish community, right? We had a target group, and we messaged them more frequently. A smaller group there's what you call in advertising reach and frequency. You can go broader with less less communications, or you can go narrow with more communications with your budget. So we went narrow with more communications, and we're trying to turn out those voters. So whereas everybody else is talking to everybody, we're talking to a core group and trying to turn those people out. And on top of that, I have a special secret sauce that I'll talk about now because, again...
We're 48 hours away.
Yeah, we're 48 hours away.
Right.
Listen, most people are focused, all the other candidates are focused on Democrats, right? But out of those 7,000 people in Morris Township that voted for me, 2,000 of them were unaffiliated voters, more than 2,000 of them. We are now pushing out the message to the greater Morristown area and to the Jewish community that unaffiliated voters can participate in this election. We have same-day affiliation here in New Jersey. They can go early vote and affiliate, or they can go on Election Day and affiliate and vote for Jeff Grayzel. I am the only candidate in this race that has voters that have a reason to go vote for him. The Morristown voters who have voted for me, and the Jewish community who are activated right now to participate in an election. So we're actually trying to turn out unaffiliated voters. And that's been part of what we're trying to do that hasn't been talked about at all because we've kept that to ourselves.
You know, we've always done that in Maplewood, and I'm just going to kind of reiterate what you're saying, Jeff, especially for newer people locally who have moved here who don't know. If you're not registered with a party, you can show up on primary day and say, I am a Democrat today and vote in the Democratic primary.
Or a Republican.
There is one Republican running.
There's one Republican running. So
I think he's going to win the primary. Yeah.
I think so too. And then, you're not with that party forever. You can go back a couple weeks later and unaffiliate it.
You
and
go
actually,
back to the clerk's office the next day and
actually,
unaffiliate.
They make it actually even easier than that. It's just an online checkbox now.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you can go to the State Department of Elections and just check the box unaffiliated.
Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff is making it very easy for you to vote for him. So take notes. You don't need to take many notes. He's spoon-feeding you what you need to know. Jeff, what I like about you, you're a straight shooter, but when you see something you don't like, you cut to the chase. The Essex County Democrats, they had a special convention to award their endorsement. It went to Brendan Gill. You were adamant that in a letter to the Essex Democratic Organization, you said the convention was rigged in favor of one candidate. You didn't pull punches. You wanted nothing to do with it. I think many of the other candidates wish they had followed your lead on that.
I think so too. And what happened that night is I wasn't there in the room, but a lot of delegates actually withheld their vote. They said they said that they're not participating in that sham either because it was a setup from the start. And listen, it's a very compressed timeline for all of us.
Yep.
Even getting our signatures was crazy to try to get that done in a week. But for them to schedule that the day after the signatures were due, and nobody had time to prepare. Not fair. Not fair. The way we did it in Morris County, much fairer.
And there was a reason for that. I'm not defending it because I was one of the people who was a proponent for postponing the convention. And by the way, Jeff, if you're not aware, the Maplewood Democratic Committee has been a leader in getting the Essex County Democratic Committee to have a convention. It's only been happening the last 2 years. But the reason was that in order to have the slogan, you had to have been endorsed by the party by the following day. And that's the reason that they had it that day. I'm not defending that decision. I think that we should have had it later. But there was a reason for it. I just think people should know that.
Yeah, no, I understand the reason for it, but in a special election where there's only, but the point is where there's only one thing on the ballot.
Yep.
Having the party slogan really doesn't matter. Having the party slogan allows you to affiliate with other people on a multi-candidate ballot or where there are multiple offices. But when there's only one thing on the ballot, only one candidate's going to have the party slogan. And most voters don't even know what the county slogan is.
I agree with you. I was a proponent of postponing that convention. So,
Jeff, you've also been a strong gun violence is just something that you've always fought. You're outspoken about it. Now, what's of interest to me, I hadn't thought about it as I'm reading about all the statements you've made. Brown University, you've come out. The violence, obviously, in Minneapolis, but you were in a red community when you moved there, so I guess might have been a little more, even more unpopular, your thoughts. But what about gun violence, and when you're in Congress, it sounds like that's something that's going to be near and dear to you.
Right. So the thing about engineers is they're very thoughtful and very process-oriented. And so whenever we do anything in Morris Township, we explain it to the residents in a way that they can understand. This is why we're doing it. This is why we're investing here. And we're not investing there. And we explain it in a way that it shows them how it affects their lives. And it's the same approach I take with the gun violence. So yes, I'm in a red county, but every time I get up on the dais in front of a police ceremony, whether it's a swearing in or a promotional ceremony, I talk about how there are so many guns on our streets that it affects policing. Right? You don't even know when a standard like traffic stop can go bad because there might be a gun in the car. And people, listen. First Amendment is there. It's a right. I still think there are way too many guns in this country. But we have to look at the effects of those guns and explain it how we can. The leading cause of death among children is guns. It's crazy. The leading cause, when you try to commit suicide, most of the time it fails. They don't talk about that, right? You fail at committing suicide unless you're using a gun. And then it's 99% effective. And you explain it in those ways that how guns are affecting our society. I don't know. It gets people to understand the issue a little bit more in a more practical fashion. And I try to do that with everything that I do and every issue that I come across. But I got to say, the reason I got into that issue is my high school girlfriend, who I took to the prom when she was 30 years old, she committed suicide with a gun. And it deeply affected me. And then right before I became mayor, not even right before, what happened in Connecticut happened in 2012, many years ago. But there's just so many incidents of gun violence leading up to when I became mayor that literally at the very first meeting, I signed the Pledge of Mayors Against Illegal Guns. And I've been speaking out about it ever since. And when Brown University happened, I have a college kid. I'm scared. Like, the kids are scared. One of those kids at Brown University was a survivor of Marjorie Stoneham in Florida. Wow. And to go through that 2 times in their lifetimes, that's what our kids are experiencing. People need to know that. These aren't just one-off things. They've now happened multiple times to a person. And then the very next day, we saw what happened in Australia. And as a Jewish American, I am so scared that is going to happen here any day now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And some scary times. And right. We have kids your age, and the same thing.
Your kid's age.
Yeah.
A little older. But
when he goes out, I'm like, he's on the subway. I'm like, don't start with anybody. Don't don't argue with anybody. He's a big guy. He's a target sometimes. But certainly. Now, Jeff, another thing I like about you is just I'm reading your social media. You'll be talking about gun violence. You'll be talking about what's going in Minneapolis, and then you'll be telling people that the Starbucks is closing in the area, and you're giving them other coffee shops that they should peruse with reviews on the other coffee shops. So this is the type of leader that I want in Washington. I want an engineer.
Where can I get good coffee?
Right, exactly. That is mathematically inclined to problem solve, is concerned with the issues of the world, but he knows where to find a good cup of coffee when there's no Starbucks to be found.
That's right. Very big picture, right? I talk about how big picture I am. Good. Right? Everything is intertwined. Everything.
Yeah. 100%. Now, I've asked this question of a few of the candidates, if not all of the candidates we've interviewed. When you get elected and you're on the congressional floor, your first day, is there a lawmaker that you can't wait to shake their hand and say, "Hi, I'm your colleague, and it's going to be great working with you"? Anybody the first guy that comes to your mind, or
there's not one first guy or female that comes to my mind. And somebody asked me the question at one of the Democratic forums, because I say I'm about problem solving. We have so many problems, and Democrats can't do it alone, right? Congress is so finely divided that we have to find a few on the other side to get any legislation passed. And they asked me, are you going to caucus with Democrats? Are you going to caucus with other people? And I said to them, I am going to caucus with anybody who wants to solve a problem. So it would be, person A on issue A, person B on issue B, person C on issue C. I am going to look for people in Washington who also want to get things done. And it might just be on one particular issue. So I'll give you an example. I'm an inventor with 13 patents. I think the patent office and the patent system is rigged against small inventors, right? Everybody talks about the power that large corporations have in this country now. They have it in the intellectual property space too. And we need an even playing field in the patent office. The number one inventor in Congress is probably one of the most crazy Republicans, Thomas Massey from Kentucky. Okay? Everybody thinks he's crazy on most things, but he knows patent law, and he has actually tried to work with the Small Inventors Association to reform patent law. So listen, would I talk to him about reforming patent law? Of course I would, because that's something that our country needs. I wouldn't caucus with him on most other issues, maybe no other issues. But if we have common ground on something that is a problem that needs to be solved, yes, I'm going to be talking to those people.
And I think it's important to point out to people who are listening too, right? Because some people are going to hear that and be a little worried about it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ted Cruz have worked together on legislation, right? So
That doesn't make the headlines. CNN and
doesn't
Fox
make
News
the
aren't talking
headlines.
about
You're
it, but it happens.
absolutely right. So what you're saying, Jeff, applies to some of the people that are our revered heroes in the Democratic Party doing the same thing. So yeah.
Yeah, but listen, I want to go to Washington just to be clear. I believe we need to abolish ICE.
Yes.
Right? It used to, a few weeks ago, it was defund ICE.
Yeah.
Now it's abolish ICE, and we need to start over.
Yep.
Right? So I'm on board with all the things that the other Democrats are talking about. I'm not trying to say that I am not a core Democrat. I have very strong core Democratic principles.
Yep.
I am in this fight as a Democrat. Let's be clear about that. But our country does need a way forward. And I say that we have Trump for a second term for a reason, right? We thought we got rid of him after his first term, and he's back for a second term. And the reason why is Democrats in those 4 years that we had the White House, we didn't deliver for our country. And we better figure out how to deliver for this country if we want a Democratic president in 2028. So I want to go to Washington with ideas about the future, right? I say I am fighting for today and building for tomorrow. Most of the candidates are just fighting for today and have no idea what tomorrow looks like. If you go to my website, I talk about an innovation economy for the future, investing in infrastructure so that we have the base to build an economy, an innovation economy of the future. We have to reform immigration. And a lot of that revolves around that innovation economy space also, because we always talk about the immigrants that are coming in, across our borders. But we have a lot of smart immigrants that are looking for green cards and H-1B visas that we're sending back to their countries. So my son, I'll give you an example. My son graduated Columbia University with a graduate degree in engineering. Very proud of him. 90% of his class were foreign, right?
Yeah.
So we have two issues there. One, only 10% of his class was American, and we're not educating enough Americans as engineers. Huge, huge problem. But if we're not going to be educating enough Americans as engineers, we better well be giving more H-1B visas out to those kids that are coming in from other countries that want to stay in our country and build our economy in the future, but we're just sending them home. So it's a dual problem, and we're not addressing it. So immigration is very complex. It's not just the people that are coming across the borders. It's the people that are coming here for education or coming here with a green card for a job, and we're sending them back home.
They're taking our knowledge, and they're going home and investing their intelligence there.
And as an attorney that practices in immigration, to your point, Jeff, I can tell you that 1/3 of the H-1B visas that are handed out from this country generally go to engineers from India, because we don't have enough people training as engineers here in the United States.
Yeah. Listen, we don't have enough doctors either. We're importing Indian doctors too. There's a lot of things that we don't talk about. We're not producing enough of a lot of things here in the United States, and nobody is talking about the future, right? One thing I say about it as an engineer, we don't want to see things break. Right? We want to look into the future and see where we need to lean in order to make sure that we don't break something, right? Yeah. Things are smooth. And we have a lot of industries and a lot of trades, for example. Where are new plumbers coming from? Where are new electricians coming from? We're not generating enough. All of our plumbers are very, very old. You don't see a young plumber anymore. And we better figure that out because when in 10 years, we're going to have a crisis in plumbing and electrical repair in our homes. There's just so many problems that need to be fixed that nobody's looking at.
Yeah. Ian, I should maybe, instead of
I'm
I should become a plumber because, the hours, about the same.
I had a cousin who was a plumber who did better than me as a lawyer.
That's right, yeah. And we do this podcast morning, noon, and night, so why not?
That's it.
That's right. So, Jeff, GrayzelForCongress.com, that's your website for people who want to learn more about you?
Yep, Grayzel. Got to include the Y and only one L.
And one L.
Those are the two spelling mistakes with my name.
And so they got the next 48 hours to take a look at the website
and
hopefully make a good choice, because you know what, you're gonna do New Jersey proud if you get to
and I'll say once
Washington.
again, if you're an unaffiliated voter, you still have a chance to vote in this election and determine a very important seat in Congress. It's the first election in the country, and we can set the tone for the rest of the country. All eyes are on us. And unaffiliated voters can have a say.
So again, I thank you for coming down. I know you hit a lot of
Jeff.
you hit a lot of traffic tonight. Is there anything you can do about congestion on these highways once
I bet
elected?
he's got ideas on that.
He was texting me. He's like, "This is."
He's talking about infrastructure.
That's right.
I'm sure he's thought about it.
Yeah. What did you take 78 to get down? Or,
Yeah, but I'll go. You queued me up on that, so I'm going to talk about one of the things I think about all the time. I think about all the wasted time that we spend at traffic lights, right? All over the state of New Jersey. And a really interesting fact is that cars pollute more when they're idling as opposed to when they're driving. So when we're sitting at traffic lights, not only are we wasting time, but we're polluting the air. So we need to figure out how to get traffic moving in the state of New Jersey. And I've been thinking about years about solutions to the traffic light problem. And we need more traffic circles. That's one thing. I won't get too wonky, but you brought up traffic, so I'm thinking about that too.
Okay, yeah, because
The next time you visit us, that will be the topic we focus on.
well, you know what? The guy who says I'm going to fix the highways in New Jersey will have my vote forever.
There you go.
So because I'm Jersey my whole life, and Ian, I can't take it anymore. I can't take driving here anymore.
I can't take driving back and forth to Newark every day with the snow.
Yeah. So it's too much. So,
Well,
Jeff,
we got to fix New Jersey Transit also, right?
Yeah.
and we got to fix New Jersey Transit.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Everything is. We got to fix the whole state. And you're going to do that when you get to Washington. So, Jeff, thank you again.
Thank
Okay,
you, Jeff.
That's Grayzel. That's Grayzel forcongress.com. Check out his website. Vote for him, and hopefully, you'll be back to visit us soon enough.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun. My very first podcast.
This is your first?
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right, we hope we didn't
That was
ruin
exciting.
it for you. You're like,
That's
never
it.
again. That's it. The last podcast.
I'm never
we're
doing
gonna
another
do.
one. Not with those guys.
Right, not with those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to work with a professional
There
team
we
next
go.
time. But anyway, Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night.
Good night.